Support Smacking Off by commenting on, liking, and sharing our videos.
Find us on the web at smacology.42web.io. There you can find our latest episode, or you can support the podcast by following our affiliate links at the top of the page. You can even buy some awesome Smacking Off merchandise. Again, that is smacology.42web.io.
We're here at Commonwealth Stadium, representing for the Kentucky Wildcats, right against Georgia Bulldogs, right? And I'm live here, and there's fun and excitement going on. I know you can see that. This is Smacking Off, the podcast.
Hi, we're Fiverr, a global marketplace connecting individuals and businesses with freelancers offering thousands of digital services. Graphic design, web development, video editing, e-commerce marketing. You name it, there's a professional freelancer ready to make it happen. Filter your search by the service needed, budget, timeline, and boom! Fiverr provides a list of talented freelancers to meet your specific needs. Always know what you'll pay up front. No hourly rates, just project-based pricing. And because payment isn't released until you approve the work, you can rest assured that you'll be satisfied with the quality and get exactly what you want. Our support team is always available to answer questions or offer assistance when you need it. With the whole world of freelance talent at your fingertips, what might you achieve? Join today and find out. Fiverr. It starts here.
He would be so scared to see me.
Everybody thinks we was doing this shit, doxing motherfuckers. Nah, they came at us first.
I got a fire raging in my front yard.
Oh, why did you set your front yard on fire? Are you drinking anything?
Smacking off the podcast. Fuck your city, dog balls. Because fuck authorities. Smacking off the podcast. Fuck your team, dog balls. You call them torch authorities.
Smacking off the podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to Smacking Off the podcast.
Hey.
Hello.
Ed, Nikki, is Sean here as well?
I think I hear you.
What about Sean? Is he on? That's all right. So, everybody, welcome.
Yeah,
No, Sean's not here yet.
I just want to say fuck real quick so we can justify the parental advisory.
Okay.
Hallelujah. That's a great way to kick the show
And
off.
welcome to Sacking Off.
I see it looks beautiful, though. I'm seeing Doug. It looks beautiful. That's a really artsy kind of intro. I kind of like it.
I do like that.
The intro or the picture that's up right now, you mean?
The picture is up right now.
Oh, yeah. It's very festive, isn't it?
It's very festive. We like festive. This is a festive time of year. We're having the festivals of every sort, you know. Including college football.
Just don't use the word fabulous. We'll start to wonder about you.
Fabulous, he says. It's exciting and new, like the Love Boat. That's the way I see it, you know.
Yep.
So, you know, we got a slate of college football this week, and some people say it's a weak schedule, but I've been looking through it, and I see all kinds of intriguing matchups and so forth here in week 3. And I'm excited. Hell, there's a great game on right now, Arizona and Kansas State. Is anybody watching that?
I'm watching it. It is a good game. I think, you know, Kansas State has a tendency to play good defense against teams that are good or worse, and Arizona is good but not better than good. And they got them up. They're up 14-7 on I think it was a punt return. But
we also have the mighty.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry, we have the mighty UNLV running Rebels going up against the Kansas Jayhawks tonight as well.
Who's winning?
Pretty good.
I haven't been paying attention to that one. Who's winning that one?
Kansas is running away with it now, I think. They were.
Yeah, let me pull it up. It was
I
close
changed
at
it to our
half.
high school.
Because the game is in Kansas. It's in Kansas, right?
Yeah, it's at a soccer stadium because Kansas Stadium is being renovated.
But it's not a road game because Kansas is not still. Even though they've gotten better the past few years, they're still not good on the away from Kansas. So
there you go.
Okay, so my information here says that this is a tight game. We're in the third quarter. 9:45 left in the third quarter, and Kansas is leading 17-13.
Oh, 17-13. When I walked outside, it was 14-3. Or was it
14-6 last I seen?
UNLV has improved the past couple of years.
Yeah.
They've gone from terrible to mediocre.
I think they have a good coach. I think he's getting them in the right direction, and he has one hell of a schedule. Dang, from Houston to now Kansas. They have Syracuse, Oregon State.
And Randall Cunningham's not walking through that door.
So, one thing we definitely need to talk about.
What's
I'm
that?
looking at the scores from last night. And South Alabama beat Northwestern State, I believe is a Louisiana school, if I'm not wrong.
I think it's
they're Louisiana. 87-10.
Oh yeah,
it was insane.
That's video game score there.
Yeah,
man.
it's insane. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm from old school. I mean, I think at some point you just got to call the dogs off.
South Alabama's not that bad.
No,
I don't think it looks cooler. I don't think it looks cooler when you get in the 80s than if you were in the 70s. I don't think it looks cooler.
No, but old school, our coaches, old school Saban, Spurrier, Bowden, they loved those high 70s.
Oh, yeah,
getting over that 70 threshold, it was like, then they would bring her back, but they didn't.
Yeah, I think it starts getting embarrassing. It starts getting embarrassing when you start scoring in the 80s.
Yeah,
then it's like, yeah,
not their fault. That's what Spurrier used to say, and Saban too. It's not my fault that our fourth string could come in and score these.
Yeah, Florida used to do that at Kentucky on a regular basis.
You can't tell them not to score. I mean, I get that, but
the Tim Tebow team beat Kentucky 77-3. I believe that's that right, Nikki?
Yeah.
I mean,
or was it 77 or 70?
It was over 70, but we didn't forget that either, right? And when we got our chance, right, then we didn't really feel bad about rubbing it in and all that. I mean, when you get treated like that, I mean, a whole program makes a trajectory to beat you, right? And so that's what's happened there. And nobody has any mercy on Florida now because they treat a lot of people like that when they were able to. So,
and they shouldn't have any mercy on any team. You're going to play. You want to play. I mean, run up the score, have fun.
If we're going to talk about those kind of games, we have to bring up the Texas A&M Aggies losing to Oklahoma in 2003, 77-0.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Damn.
Yeah, I was very happy about it because that was a coach that had left Alabama for Texas A&M, and it couldn't happen. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
Kind of feel like I'm hoping that we see that tomorrow. Florida's on top.
That's an interesting game. I've got it in the list. I've got 2 pages of games to look over. If Sean don't get his ass in here, we're fixing to start looking over him before he gets in.
You know, that Florida-Memphis game is interesting.
You mean Florida State?
I thought, Florida State.
Yep. Florida State. I got Memphis on that one. They actually look damn good. And if Florida State looks anything like they have the last 2 games, Memphis can take them.
Memphis has a chance in that. A lot of people are picking Memphis at the end to get into the CFP. They're one of like 4 teams that's being mentioned from the group of 5 that could get in, and I think it'd be the end of Norvell after losing the first 2 games. If he also lost to Memphis, it'd have to be the end for him.
And then he has after that, because I was like, they could start the season 0-4 because they play not a huge school, but they play someone. It might have been. Is it Duke? Like Duke could probably beat them.
Oh yeah.
Well,
See.
Florida State got quarterback problems. That guy.
Florida State has team problems, as in leadership. NIL has. This is what we were talking about a week ago on how the NIL can be good for your team or bad for your team, and I think Clemson and FSU's getting the bad. They're only using portal players. He's filling the need, and they don't have leadership. And then you have Clemson that's not taking that chance and bringing him in. They're getting the same bad on their end. So I feel like they don't have the leadership. Like he's lost control of these players. And we seen it last year when they all opted out and left 27 players because they didn't get into the championship game.
I agree. There's no cohesion. There's no esprit de corps. I mean, nobody's rallying around the flag. I mean, there's not. I don't even see pride there. Where like, you know, even at the park. Let's just say that I had to pick 4 losers, right? And I'm going against the heroes of the whole park, and I've got to play basketball. Well, I've got some pride there. I'm going to do something. I guarantee you, I'm going to do something, right? Because I have pride about myself that I'm somebody. I want to show you that I'm somebody. In football, the same thing. I don't care how bad Boyd County is or was or whatever. If I got my chance to get the ball, buddy, I'm taking it to the house. That's the way my mind is, and I don't see that out of them guys. You know.
Well, don't forget, Memphis has an NFL caliber quarterback in Seth Hennigan.
Oh,
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. And is Blake Watson still there?
Maybe. Let's look that up.
Not sure.
Let's see. I believe he is. So that his run games, when I did the preview earlier on, I believe I read that he was back. He was touting their 1-2 punch, and that was one of the reasons they picked them to be a powerhouse among the outside of the major conference. But I mean, Memphis is always good, and another thing they seem to develop and have a bunch of all the time is corners and returners, right? If you're weak in the special teams game, that gives Memphis a chance as well, because I believe their special teams are better than Florida State has shown, even though if you look at recruiting on paper, Florida State should crush Memphis, right? I mean, truth of it is that they just lined up in the I formation and started ramming it down Memphis' throat and making them like it. I mean, if they have that kind of fortune, they could win the game that way. But I don't believe they'll do that. And, I mean, that would take somebody have to man up and block and shit like that. The distasteful shit, you know, like asking Randy Moss to block on the outside, you know.
And Memphis has a pretty good little defense. I mean, it's not the best, but better than, honestly, the 2 teams Florida State's already lost to. And I feel like they can, knowing their weaknesses, which is pretty much everything on that offensive line and who's holding the ball, they could stop them.
So if you're a coordinator,
so shit's going to hit the fan when when Seminole Nation hears about this. Shit's going to hit the fan, right?
Oh yeah.
When they hear what is it? What would it be now? 0-3.
0-3. No, they have SMU next week. That's where I said they could end up 0-4 because they've already lost 2. They have Memphis, and then they have SMU.
At some point, you got to change something. I mean, if you're Norvell, I mean, if you care about your job or the program or whatever, you got to come into this week doing something different you did before. The insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again, even though it fails, right? Like if I think I could use my head to beat a hole in the door, and I keep on doing that, and it ain't beating the door, it's insanity for me to keep beating my head against the door, right? So,
doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Right.
I think Norvell will get his ass handed to him if he loses this game off a bye week and didn't change. If he hasn't put some type of fire in these guys, you had a full week, no game. This is when normally you can see a turnaround when there's issues. I don't know if he can with these guys. They are so, honestly, watching them last week, the most selfish players. There was no teamwork, no leadership. No one cared.
Yeah, I agree. Now, when stuff like that happens in the world of college football, it has repercussions that reverberate on down the line, kind of like a butterfly effect. For example, last week when Kentucky laid an egg against South Carolina, that means that game day is not coming to Lexington, Kentucky for Georgia and Kentucky this week, right? Yep. And game day is now going to LSU and South Carolina, right? Now, so South Carolina had their moment in the sun. They crushed Kentucky utterly on national television on their home field. And now LSU's coming to them. Does South Carolina have hope, or are they lucky? Is LSU going to beat them? What do y'all think?
I think it's going to be like last season, to be honest. We've seen every few games a different South Carolina team show up and was able to produce something. We watched them, lay an egg against Florida and then turn around and destroy Tennessee. So I truly believe it's kind of the same thing. They got against Kentucky. They got lucky. I'm going to say they got lucky. Kentucky didn't look good, but I feel like LSU's not going to give up.
Now, I think Nussmeier's a whole lot better quarterback, and he's more mobile. The line's probably better at LSU. What do you think, Ed?
I mean, it's certainly going to be interesting. That's for sure.
Now, we know LSU ain't got much of a defense.
Well, but I don't know if South Carolina really does either. Watching that game against Kentucky, I couldn't even tell if, honestly, and I hate to say it, but was South Carolina that good, or did Kentucky just really have an off day? Because I didn't expect that from Kentucky. That's
and South Carolina was not impressive in their opener against Old Dominion.
No. But their defensive line was getting in the backfield on nearly every play against Kentucky. That's why I found them interesting. But I don't believe they're going to do that against LSU. And LSU's quarterback is obviously more mobile and a better decision maker. They've been scoring a lot of points. I think
South Carolina generally doesn't have a big home field advantage. I mean, it'll be packed and it'll be loud, but it doesn't seem to help them historically.
I don't know. It did against Tennessee, I believe, last season. I think that was like what they call the 12th man for the Aggies. That place did not shut down. I mean, it was insane, and they fed off of it.
Yeah, that was a mud bowl too, though.
We like mud bowls. That's what football's all about. I like mud bowls, snow bowls. Right? When's the last time you seen a mud and snow football game in college, man? What I'm saying?
Maybe this year. Let's hope for one.
There you go. I think they ought to play one on Soldier Field, right? Like without fixing the field from the previous week's pro game, and do like a damn do like Miami versus Texas in the snow at Soldier Field.
Oh my God! They wouldn't make it onto the field.
Yeah. I'd just like to see.
Well, I guess we'll go over this game list, guys. We'll try to hold Notre Dame and Purdue, just in case Sean comes in. We'll try to hold it, but the day starts out tomorrow with Alabama making a trip to Camp Randall Stadium to meet the Whiskey Badgers. What do y'all think about that one?
Man, that's a cool matchup, you ask me. I mean, Alabama traveling to Wisconsin.
I mean, it is. Wisconsin's not ranked. They're not ranked, but you just know that if Alabama goes up there and fucks around like they did against South Florida, Wisconsin, that's going to be the wrong environment to do that in. I can assure you.
I got Alabama winning pretty easily by about 17 points. I think Wisconsin hangs around for about a quarter and a half.
I can see that.
I'm not high on Wisconsin at all.
I'm just thinking that Alabama's going to be pissed off after this last weekend.
They played that South Florida team is not a joke.
Well, they're a solid football team. I mean, but Wisconsin, though, I think even compared to South Florida, is liable to have more depth on the offensive and defensive line. And that's why that I can see, Ed, what you're talking about, that they might hang around for a while. I just believe that they can't afford to make any critical mistakes against Alabama, right?
They're not a well-skilled team. The quarterback is okay. Their receivers are nothing to write home about. They've always got a running back they can plug and play, but they're not just going to be able to run it down Alabama's throat. It just doesn't work that way.
No, and if we know anything, and I know Saban's not the coach anymore, but if we know anything about Bama football, hopefully it continues. They lose a game, you don't want to be that next team that plays them. It doesn't matter what you're ranked, how good you are. You don't want to be that next team because they're going to take that revenge out on you.
We don't know who Alabama really is this year. Have you seen enough games, Doug? Who do you think Alabama is this year?
I mean, the first game they looked pretty impressive. The last game they looked impressive when the game was on the line, but before then, I believe they have an offensive lineman out. They're shifting people around on the line. They finally figured out the correct methodology to get the line playing well by the late in the fourth quarter. I don't know. I could definitely see Alabama going up there, fucking around, and ending up in a game in the fourth quarter.
Now,
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Alabama pulls away late, 28-17, Alabama.
I can see that. I can see that. That's about how I would see it too. I just think Milroe's so goddamn good, right? That if he has to pull something out of his ass late, I think he's capable of it. I mean, he's done it over and over already.
Right, so did it against Auburn.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to go down the line because next would be Notre Dame, Purdue, and we're going to wait and see if Sean does pop in. But anyway, Maryland. How about Maryland at Virginia, guys? I mean, that's a shit. It's a shit game, but it's still interesting. And then we got Big Ten versus the
Maryland has
here.
one left. I haven't even looked at their.
I just don't know that we really know anything about Virginia
or Maryland.
We know Maryland is a 6-6, 7-5 team.
But that was when they actually.
Ed, are you American?
I mean, they're my second favorite team.
Ed, that's what I was asking. And so, who's the quarterback?
I forget his name, but he's all right. He's okay.
What happened? What happened to Tua? Did he graduate? Or sorry, whatever his name was.
Brother of Tua.
That's the name. Brother of Tua.
Brother of Tua.
Poor guy. I'll have that the rest of his life.
I don't think he's on a roster. I don't think he's on an NFL roster.
I thought he made practice squad with someone.
He might have, but he didn't get drafted.
So I think it's an interesting matchup from the fact that Maryland was kind of 3-4, kind of like Kentucky there for a while. And Virginia was a lot of inside reads and a lot of inside draws and shit like that, which is effective against 3-4. And Virginia's at home. Now, Virginia's picked to be mid-pack in the ACC, and Maryland's in the Big Ten, and I think they're picked in the bottom third of the ACC this year.
Yeah, and you know that Maryland loss to Michigan State's really not that bad because Jonathan Smith, the new Michigan State head coach, has won everywhere he's been, and he's always done well early. So it wasn't a surprise that Michigan State came in there and won a tight one.
It might be compelling football. I mean, like I said, neither one of them has established exactly how great they are or what they can do. And sometimes bad football can be entertaining, you know.
It could be compelling and not good.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to pick on this one? I don't care if anybody picks on this one. I'm not picking on it.
I'm picking Maryland by a field goal.
Hell, I'll take Virginia by a field goal.
I was here to say that.
I mean, I'm not taking out an equity line for this. Bet on it.
There you go.
All right, so Nikki, what'd you say? Fuck both these teams.
Yeah, I did. I haven't watched either of them, to be honest. I think I've swapped through while they were playing, but didn't even pay attention.
You don't have a coin, do you? You don't have a coin. You can toss a coin up. And
I did not.
anyway, the next one we're going to move to here is the Tim Bailey special, upset special. Tulane Green Wave heads to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the 15th ranked Oklahoma Sooners.
How are they still 15th? I mean, I know they pulled it out, but
because they won. That's it.
So Oklahoma, I mean, they have improved defensively since Venables has been there. Offensively, I don't know if maybe they've took a little step back, but they're at Oklahoma, which is saying something.
You know what they're doing? They're putting them big offensive linemen on the defensive line. Robert, that's what's going on.
That's right. They're swapping sides with them. Just like he's playing NCAA 2006,
Yep.
you just change their position, you know. They, but Tulane with probably the future head coach of Kentucky at the helm there, is actually a real good football team, guys. And they're also like Memphis, they're one of the teams that is picked from the Group of 5 to come out in the end of the year. And I'd like to see them beat Oklahoma. That'd be a big shock for Oklahoma going into the SEC to get beat.
We love these kind of upsets, do we not?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we do. We all love them.
I'm picking Oklahoma comfortably because they're going to be in a bad mood after last week.
Yeah, but even you, Ed, will be excited if Tulane knocks off Oklahoma.
I'll be rooting for Tulane. I just don't see them getting
the fact of all of us talked about Oklahoma and Texas coming in the SEC, and then finally when they get to SEC play, it was, going to be a different world, and they get beat by Tulane before they even get into SEC play. That would be fun.
What is the line on? Let's see what the line is on this game. Let's see. Tomorrow at 3:30. Tulane. I'm trying to find the line. Oh, here we go. By 13.5, Oklahoma.
So let me throw this out there real quick. Out of all the games, I've got 2 pages of games here. This is the only game that has no TV. It's not on TV at all.
What about not even ESPN Plus?
I'm trying to figure out, does Oklahoma still do the pay-per-view over there or something? It's got to be something like that.
Is it Fox? Is it on Fox?
It's not on Fox. It's not. It has no TV listed.
I'm looking at it right now. Where to find it? That's what I'm looking to. You're right. Let me go back one.
Put me down for Oklahoma. Still does the pay-per-view, which is probably the only team in the country that still.
Says watch live. All right. It says it's going to be on ESPN, Fubo, Sling TV, and YouTube TV.
Well, it must be on something, but for some reason it's not listed. And I've seen Oklahoma before where they've got no TV, and it's really odd because every team, just about every game is televised at this point.
Do they have
it says it's on ESPN.
Okay.
Do they have like a Sooner network?
Yeah. It's called the SEC Network.
But you know what I'm saying? Like UK and basketball used to have the UK Basketball Network, and if the game wasn't being broadcast on CBS, who was their other partner, then the game would be broadcast by the UK Basketball Network, and then also by Jefferson Pilot Sports.
You know what? I bet you this one is on the SEC Network, and because that is ESPN, and they'll put it on a sub ESPN channel when they do that. So maybe that's what it is.
Yes.
Let's move on. The number 1 team in the country is headed to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats for a 6:30 kickoff on ABC, meaning we can watch this shit for free.
We can watch this shit for free. That means it should be a big game, but the truth is that I'm sure everybody knows is Georgia is liable to crush Kentucky utterly, right? Based on what I saw last week, I don't believe there's any doubts about Georgia's defense. I don't have any doubt that Brock Vandagriff is scared to play quarterback, and I think they're going to crush them. I think it could be like 58-10 or something like that.
And this could be the case, but I'm going to say this: Stoops has an easier job this week than he had last week. It's much easier to get a team up to play a team that they're considered to have no chance against when they're at home. I mean, they've got nothing to fucking lose. If he can't pull something together in this game and at least make it interesting for a couple, for a half, I'm going to be really disappointed because I think it's easier this week than last week.
Now,
They're not walking into a booby trap. They know. They know.
This is when teams show up.
No, no.
Absolutely.
Kentucky has played Georgia tough for the last 5 years. Even won 13-0 game where Kentucky kept going for it on fourth down instead of kicking field goals, and in the rain. But they played them tough. But man, the Vandegrift, they shucked him for a reason. Now I know what it is that he can't play, and now they've got a backup in Kentucky that I think is better than him that came from Rutgers, Winslet, and he's the one that came in the game late last week and moved the team. I mean, if I'm UK, you got to try him at Vandegrift. That experiment is over. I don't know. He looked scared. If the blitz came, then he went towards blitz, so he'd take off running. He wouldn't try to set his feet and just get rid of the ball, right? He would head towards the blitz. If the blitz was coming from his side, right, then he would immediately jerk and run like he was locked into going that way. And I'm like, my God, he ran right into them guys. I mean, it's one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen. I think he threw for 30 yards, 2 of 14 for 30 yards or something like that.
You don't think Stoops would use both of them?
No, he did use Winslet at the end of the game, and he moved the team, but they didn't. The guy threw an interception at the end, but Winslet was more mobile. He was able to actually move the team. I'd give him a shot. To me,
yeah.
The guy, he's Vandegrift's a lost cause. Did you see anything from him, Ed?
I mean, I don't think he's going to get the start, but I could see him in early because they're going to be behind.
Yeah. And we don't have the running game to fall back on that we used to have. The guy we got from Georgia got hurt, and he's out this game. He's supposed to be out for 3 games. This is game 3. His backup is decent, but he ain't capable of carrying the pile like Benny Snell or Rodriguez did. And
I hate it for that guy because he would have loved to play in this game.
Oh yeah, and then
our linebacker so he could go up against his former team there,
Yeah, and then we got a linebacker from Georgia that was a former All-American. He gets hurt last year, and then he transfers to Kentucky. And now that he's been in Kentucky, he hasn't done anything, and he's got players all around him. Right? He's in a position where everybody around him is blocked, and all he's got to do is respond and fill the hole up, and he's not getting it done. So, to me, it's real disappointing. But if they did make a real showing, I'd love for them to prove me wrong and make a real showing, because on paper there's talent there to oppose Georgia. They shouldn't get ran over, but man, the quarterback play is bad, guys. I'm telling you, Vandegrift is the worst quarterback that I've seen in Kentucky since the Bill Curry era.
Robert, you got enough confidence to do you have enough courage to pick in this game, or are you going flush?
Oh, I'll pick in the game. I'd say Georgia 46, Kentucky 10.
Okay. Anybody else got thoughts on this one?
I'm just not sure Kentucky gets 10. I'm sorry.
That's not the little honest man.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna get Kentucky 14 because I think that they swap quarterbacks out, like you're saying, and Georgia will end up putting in backups.
Yeah, that's the most likely scenario, Nikki. That there'll be backups in. Also, we got the best returner in the country, Barryon Brown. They might make the mistake of actually kicking to him, and he scored against Georgia last year, so he might score against them again. So I can see that's the one way I'd see for sure. Not for sure, but the most likely way I see Kentucky scoring is a return or an interception return.
Tell me this, Dr. Balls. What's the line on this? Do you know?
I think it was 24.5 the last I checked. Let me check it again. But the last I seen it was 24.5. And
Okay.
I think that was,
Well,
I think the over on it was 50, which I don't see.
all right. So here's what I'm going to tell people: go with Kentucky and 24 points. Kentucky's going to play the game of their life. Georgia wins 40-20.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see what the line of it is. Now you got me interested in it. Let's see. Live. Let's what the line is. The line is the line is the spread's 22. Oh, that blows my mind.
All right. So yeah, you take Kentucky in the points, and it's 40-20. You win.
Hell yeah.
So, all right. So let's move on to the big game of the day. The Texas A&M Aggies head to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Oh, absolutely.
What about Lagway?
I can't pull for the Aggies in anything.
In them this week.
What about
Well,
Lagway,
I mean, half of
Nikki?
the Aggies starters are out.
What about Lagway, Nikki? This Lagway guy. I mean, they pulled him out of their ass, didn't they?
He's beautiful. Beautiful. That's all I can say. Seeing those passes. Holy crap. Beautiful. And this is why the kid won the high school Heisman Gatorade. He's won every award across the country, state of Texas, and I didn't realize, I mean, I watched him, high school, but not honestly looks like a completely different player. He's matured.
Now, Mertz, do you think he's got any shot at getting?
Yeah, being able to use both of them. Yeah, he's starting. I do believe he uses them both kind of like the Urban Spurrier years where they used both their quarterbacks throughout the game. Each one of these players both of them are dual threat quarterbacks, but one of them is more of your deep ball and the other one's more on their feet. That's, Mertz. So being able to alternate them, I think is going to be for our advantage. We watched Florida do it with Tebow and Leak, and it worked. So,
yeah. Well,
I'm excited.
I'm rooting for. I found him exciting. He was a little bit of a fresh air for Florida. They needed any ray of sunshine they could get, and then they got one because out of the blue comes this guy, and he actually done a little, and people now are getting excited about it.
Yeah, and watching, and I was very pleased. Normally, when you throw a young kid in, it doesn't matter. But as a start, coaches don't give him enough time. Honestly, Billy gave him time to get his feet underneath him. He didn't push him. And at the beginning of the game, I was nervous, of course, because we didn't know what to expect. And then all of a sudden, this kid finally is like each possession got better and better. And he did it at his own speed. And then it was just like, go do what you can do. And having Johnson healthy, having Wilson healthy, these guys watched our O-line finally protecting. I'm excited for this game. I'm also excited because Emmett is Mr. Two Bits. And his son plays for A&M.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well,
so he asked to be Mr. Two Bits for this game.
Well, I've got to go with Florida in Gainesville here, and I think it's going to be an 80s throwback looking game, low scoring. Florida wins 17-14. That's my take.
And Aggies down a bunch of players.
Yeah,
I was looking at their report this morning. They're down a ton.
I was thinking something similar to their like 22-20 maybe, Florida. And
I mean, if it was a better team, but I can't go. There's no way I'm picking A&M to win on the road in Gainesville.
Nobody loves Texas A&M. Ed, you ever notice that now we're in a SMAC group, right? And I've never seen any love for A&M in our SMAC groups, and I don't love A&M. They've never did anything to make me love them. What about you? You come from a different perspective.
I don't love them, but I think that they're gonna win tomorrow, 20-10.
God
I
damn it,
think
Ed.
I didn't say I was rooting for them. I've always liked the Gators, in spite of the fact that when I tried to transfer to the University of Florida, they turned me down because I had a 3.4 and needed a 3.5. So fuck them. But
Sorry, Ed.
I know. Well,
Sorry.
I mean, look, the 3.4 was pretty
They missed out.
fortunate anyway. But
And
you know,
Marshall, they was
A&M's
worried
got
about
themselves a
4.5
good. A&M has got themselves a
seconds.
good defensive head coach, and I think that their defense will show up. I think that the quarterback for Florida's got some potential, but it's his first start, and he may struggle tomorrow and get better as the season goes on.
No, I don't think he's going to struggle because Billy already said he's playing both quarterbacks. He named Mertz the start, but he's not going to be playing the whole game. He will be using both quarterbacks all 4 quarters. So, with that being said, I have a little bit more confidence. And we have one hell of a defensive coach. It was getting those boys where they needed to be, work out the kinks. I honestly felt against Miami, we showed up scared. We didn't know what to expect.
A&M does not have the same offensive firepower as Miami. Nowhere near it.
No, I don't think so either.
Nope.
Okay, so Sean got stuck in a work dinner, so he's not going to be here. So let's go ahead and take on Notre Dame at Purdue. Notre Dame coming off of an embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois. And
why do they have one every year?
I don't know. That's his MO, isn't it?
Yeah, last year with Marshall. Yeah.
The only thing that gives Purdue a chance is that it's a night game, and sometimes some weird shit happens at night in West Lafayette.
You don't say.
But I don't know that Purdue's got the weapons to really do anything.
But did Northern Illinois?
If you look at Notre Dame under Freeman, after these embarrassing losses, they typically come back very strong the next week. I think Notre Dame wins this by probably 3 touchdowns.
But they're in serious trouble of not making the playoff after last week. I mean, if they lose one more, I think they're in real trouble, even at 10-2 with the bad loss.
Yeah, their schedule was real favorable, Ed, and they didn't take advantage of it.
And I said that.
But the problem is we don't know what the other teams are going to do. So if we're talking a 1-loss or even a 2-loss Notre Dame team, and there's not a lot of 2-loss, you know what I'm saying? They may make it by default.
They could.
It could have to be a 3-loss team.
At this point, when you look at their schedule, like I didn't think Northern Illinois, and honestly, I thought that their loss could have come from A&M before any other team on their schedule, and they pulled that one out. So it's kind of like, who else will, if they build off of that loss and they win out, I don't say they get kept out at all.
Well, I think they would because their schedule's so weak, and the teams that were going to be ranked in their schedule fell off. Georgia Tech has fell off. Florida State has fell off. So, I mean, even if Notre Dame, let's say Notre Dame goes 10-2, and they lose one of their ranked games, and they go 10-2, and there's another 10-2 team that had a tougher conference schedule, then you'd have to pick that team over Notre Dame, and that's the worry for me.
Oh, I agree with losses.
If it comes down to that, though, see. What you may have is both of those 10-2 teams making it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I mean, it just really depends on what the field looks like.
And I think 10-2 is going to be a real common outcome this year for the teams that I don't. If anybody goes undefeated, they're going to be so well deserving of a 1 seed, and it's just going to be off the hook because the schedule has gotten so much tougher in both the Big Ten and the SEC. It's a veritable gauntlet. And then the former Big 12. Well, hell, that's a hell of a conference. Those teams are going to have war. It'll be unlikely that the winner of that conference will be even close to being undefeated. They'll most likely be a 2-loss team, right? And then so I mean, you look at the ACC. None of those teams are going to come out unscathed. There may even be a 3-loss champion in the ACC. So
they're falling down. The ACC is rough this year. I expected it to be an off year for them, but I didn't expect it to be this off. To be honest, it's looking bad.
But they're not going to get respect in the ACC for those losses, where I believe the Big 12 will. I believe it's likely the ACC could get 1 or 2 teams, and the Big 12 could get 2 or 3. From what I'm seeing out of the Big 12, is I'd have to say that they're better than the ACC this year, even though the so-called powers left for the SEC. The Big 12 may come out winners in this new format.
Yeah.
I mean, not the championship, but the fact that they can get multiple teams and lots of eyes on the conference, because they do have good play, and it is compelling and it is exciting. And we're watching some of it tonight with Arizona and Kansas State, so they've got real compelling arguments. And then you go to the Big Ten and the SEC. Each one of them could put 4 teams apiece into the college football playoff, right?
Well, what do we have right now? 6 in the top 7.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? So if you put after it all shakes out, let's say you put 5 SEC teams, people are going to get pissed about this. They're saying, "Oh yeah, we got to have a 12-team playoff because the SEC is in it every year, and we're tired of SEC this, SEC that." But now you're looking, and like Nikki's saying, you got 6 or 7 teams within smelling distance of the top seed at the very least that look like they could be in the CFP. So let's just say you just pick 5 of them guys. So you got 5. We'll say that you get 5 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams, at least 3 slots. So now you're picking between.
I don't think you're going to get 4 from the Big Ten.
No.
So you don't think so?
12.
2 or 3.
2 or 3. So
and it could be 2.
Yeah. So outside of Ohio State, who do you got? Who would you send to the CFP?
Or Oregon.
Or Oregon. Mm-hmm. So let's say they got 3 though. So let's say the SEC gets 4, they get 3, the Big 12 gets 2. Now you're at 9. You got 3 teams left. The ACC champion gets in.
I see 5 from the SEC. You got Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Tennessee's looking really strong.
In that scenario, Notre Dame doesn't get in then as an independent. They'll pick a chump from the ACC because they're the champion. But we seen last year that they can snub an undefeated ACC champion. So that's also possible too, that Notre Dame would get in as an independent over the ACC champion, and then the ACC's got to reevaluate since their undefeated champion didn't get in last year, and now with 12 teams, they can't get a team in. Right?
No, their champion is in.
So that'd be your 3 lost teams.
Their champion's automatically in.
Yeah.
Bob, their champion's automatically in the 12 team.
So if they're automatically in, so we know that's 1 team, and that would leave Notre Dame out. In that scenario, it would leave Notre Dame out, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can have a mediocre Clemson team with the 4th seed.
8-4, 9-3 team.
Let's move on to, and this is an interesting game, and this is the Pac-2 versus the Big Ten. The Big Ten, and this is a game that is typically the last game of the season between these 2 in-state rivals. The Washington State Cougars versus the Washington Huskies. Yes, the Apple Cup in September.
Yeah, it's early. The apples ain't even got ripe yet. You know, the West Virginia.
Hey,
and this
ain't the only game like it either. We've got another one coming on the next page that we need to be getting to soon. But
more.
So
Huskies.
Go Huskies. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I think it'd be ironic for Washington to beat Washington State.
Huskies by 50.
Yeah.
Easily. We might need
What?
84. You know, who knows?
Huskies by 50.
Yep.
Yeah. By 50 for Bruce Martinez, right? Huskies by 50.
Yep.
Yep. And then we were talking about Ole Miss while ago, and Ole Miss goes over to the mighty Demon Deacons of Wake Forest.
Oh yeah.
And that is that is going to be a 5:30 game.
And that's going to be
on the CW network.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wonder if it's going to ooze up Green Lantern.
It's going to knock Green Lantern out of his rotation, Bob.
Yeah, it's possible they could happen.
It's just funny because the New Mexico State.
Are you telling me that you
would on CW?
Are you telling me you'd be watching the Green Lantern tomorrow at 5:30 if this game don't fuck it up?
If the Kentucky game goes as bad as I thought it would, I might be watching it. But if you look at it, though, guys, I mean, we see NC State. They had a little bit of hype going into last year and going into this year, and they met Tennessee, who looks fairly good. They met Tennessee and got crushed. I mean, I don't know. I think Ole Miss is going to romp Wake Forest, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not even going to pick a score. I am. Ole Miss by 50.
By 50.
Easy.
What do you think?
I don't even think Ole Miss is going to know what to do in the stadium.
I don't think I think Ole Miss absolutely wins the game. I think we find out a lot about Ole Miss tomorrow because if they're deep, I mean, Wake Forest is generally a pretty decent offensive team. If Ole Miss can go in there, what?
And they're at home.
Yeah, so if Ole Miss can go in there and shut them down defensively, even though Wake Forest, they're not great, but if they can go in there and hold them to like 10 or something like that, I think that says something about Ole Miss. All we know is that they got a high-flying offense. We don't really. I mean, they've made some additions through the portal on defense, but we'll find out.
All right, guys, I'm turning the page, guys.
What about Boston College, Missouri, Doug? Is that on your list? They're both ranked.
It better be, goddammit. Yep, it's there.
Poor Missouri fans.
Matter of fact, that's really the biggest game of the week. On paper, it's the biggest game of the week, is it not?
Yeah, I'd say.
Boston College at Missouri.
And poor Missouri fans were so excited because they thought that they were getting game day because they said they were going to Columbia. And then they read that it was Columbia, South Carolina. They were so mad. I felt bad for them.
How many Missouri smackers have you guys seen? That's another group of fan base.
I know one.
2, and one of them was in 2015, and the other one was in 2018. I haven't seen one since.
One, and he's not even a smacker, really. He's kind of a know-it-all.
Oh, even worse. Now,
you know what I mean? Like,
I root for one of the worst teams in the history of college football, and I have done it for years unashamedly. And my team sucks. And last week they sucked donkey balls, right? But anyway, they did it. So
I hope that Michigan came up and you sucked donkey balls last week.
Oh, absolutely.
They did. You were there, weren't you?
I was not there.
You weren't there. Sorry, you weren't there.
And I was not there because I figured Michigan would come up. I just wasn't there.
Sean was very eloquent about his love for Michigan.
It was hard, but we got it done in 30 minutes. And that way I was able to watch an hour of the debate and listen about people eating dogs and shit.
What did you all think about the debate?
I mean, I think
set Trump up.
Yeah.
I think some people do eat dogs. I really do. I'm not sure.
A lot of people, I think.
Ohio, but
I'm scared shitless she might win.
Have y'all ever had any really good Chinese food?
Oh,
yes. Yeah, and the place
the kind of place you just keep going back.
Yeah.
We have one.
Yeah, so we probably all had dog. Yeah, we've all had dog and some cat. Yes.
Oh, I got a story about that. Right. So.
Yes.
You ever heard of the exercise called Team Spirit? Team Spirit is where all the Allied forces go to South Korea and stage a war game as if the North Koreans invaded. And I was in an exercise called Team Spirit in '88. Anyway, so on my way out to Korea, we was in a C-130, and we refueled in California, we refueled in Hawaii, and Midway, Wake Island, and eventually in Tinian. And on Tinian wasn't nothing but like a little strip of sand and a few Quonset huts and stuff. And there was one dude running around this Cracker Jack outfit. I guess he was Navy, and there was millions of birds, dude, millions of birds. That's anyway. And there was like a Quonset hut, and there was this old lady running around with a stick chasing this dog. And I didn't really pay no attention to it. It was like a Western scene. And I go, "Hey, man," I said to the dude in the Cracker Jack outfit. And I'm like, "Hey, man," I said, "Where's the chow hall?" And he pointed at the woman chasing the dog with the stick.
Ugh.
But Doug's right. I think we've all had some Kung Pao meow.
Yeah, our favorite place in North Augusta, South Carolina, got shut down because there was a dozen cats hanging in the freezer.
The World Buffet.
Yep, they said
outside of Fort Jackson.
They said that it was what did they call it? It was for their consumption only.
Oh, for their consumption only.
All right, so
yeah, no.
So they were saving the good stuff for the staff.
Yeah.
Let's move from the cats and the dog. Let's move from the cats and the dogs to the ducks. The Oregon Ducks are taking on the Oregon State Beavers in September. This is also typically a late November game.
Yeah, that sucks to have it so early. I mean, I guess it satiates your need for it, but you would rather see them teams seasoned and ready by then. And I mean, I don't know, guys. I mean, it's at Oregon State.
I mean, I feel like the Big should have just went ahead and taken Oregon State and Washington State as well, just to go ahead and keep those rivalries together. But that cuts down everybody's take home pay.
Yeah, Oregon has
when you bring in teams that don't make enough money.
Oregon has not been that impressive so far.
No. In Oregon State, if I'm not mistaken, are they 2-0?
Yeah.
No, I think the play is for Oregon State and Washington State to resurrect the Pac-12 with members of the Mountain West, right? And then try to get a seat at the table, and whatever meager conference they get in the interim, they can just split it between each other and then pay their.
Now, from what I'm hearing, Bob, it's not that at all. Actually, the Washington State and Oregon are actually trying to resurrect the Pac-12.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's what I meant to say.
It's interesting. I mean, it's not gonna have the same ring to it. It's not gonna feel the same. It's not gonna be the Pac-12 of old. I really don't know why they're trying to do this. I guess.
Well, I mean, they got to.
If the ACC would have taken them, they got to call it something, right? If the ACC would have taken them, then we wouldn't be talking about this right now, right?
Oh yeah,
in the All Coast Conference.
It's a power play, though.
Yes.
I mean, in a way, it's a power play. It's kind of like a zero-sum game, but like it might not amount to shit. But I think Oregon's favored by 16.
All right, so Oregon State has beaten Idaho State 38-15, and they beat San Diego State at San Diego State 21-0.
That's
so. I mean, it's not going to shock me. I mean, this may be an upset here because Oregon State may want to freaking black that eyes, as this is their first meeting as out of conference foes. Oregon basically leaving the conference. No. It's going to be interesting.
It could be compelling football. I'd love to see Oregon State win because I like upsets, right? But that would turn over the whole Big Ten thing we was talking about, the potential CFP. I mean, some of these conferences could turn into bloodbaths with the schedules they got. I mean, or, by the time it's all said and done in the Big and in the SEC and in the Big 12, I mean, insane shit may go on. We may have 3 lost teams across the board, And the way the schedules line up, there's not really rest between games. You're going Oklahoma 1 week, Texas the next week, Alabama the next week. I mean, it's possible that we could have insanity, and any one lost team is going to pretty much have the number 1 seed. But Georgia, of teams that can really do it, I don't think Oregon looks like a Georgia, right? And as far as how teams are stacked from top to bottom, really, there's Georgia and everybody else. Now, am I saying Georgia's going to win the Natty? They can stumble along the way. They stumbled last year. But they, as far as who's stacked enough to do it, you have to look. It's Georgia now and everybody else.
I think Ohio State's got a lot of talent. Whether that actually works out to, in their favor. I mean, they've had a lot of talent this whole time. So, UCF goes to TCU. I know that Nikki is paying attention to this one.
Ow. Yeah. I'm actually nervous about this game. I think TCU is a good team, and I'm not sure TCU is found their. I don't know how you'd put it. They haven't found their way yet. They're slowly becoming a team, but it's not.
Here comes the fucking Gus Bus.
Yeah, I'm still gonna say TCU wins, but if they win, it's gonna be by 3. Yeah, UCF.
I like TCU at home.
Good. Yeah,
I like them at home too.
I just don't see. UCF's a good little team.
Yeah,
but I just don't think they're as good.
They got to travel over to They got to travel over to Texas. I don't know. I mean, I believe they can beat TCU, but I mean, I'm not going to believe they are going to beat TCU in.
Yeah, that's me.
In Dallas until I see it happen.
How about K-State real quick has another Deuce Vaughn. This short little Edwards, number 3. He looks just like Deuce Vaughn.
Sorry, hold up. Is TCU Dallas or is that Fort Worth?
Fort Worth.
Okay.
No,
TCU, it's kind of a twin city.
TCU didn't really get a recruiting bounce out of their recent success that I can tell. Is that right? Like they were in the CFP a couple of years ago. You would have thought that they would get a recruiting bounce out of that would be starting to translate on the field into having.
They might have if the game would have went better in the finals.
Yeah, they did pretty good. Honestly, they did probably better picking up top portal players than they did actually on the recruiting trail. But I can't even say that because they're picking guys out of Texas from these schools that these bigger schools don't look at. And they're just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
All right.
So I got TCU by 3.
Yeah, me too.
Ed? Oh, you already picked TCU.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about this game. All right. We picked this game. We talked about this game earlier. LSU at South Carolina. South Carolina's riding high. They think they're contenders. I'm not sure they are. What do y'all think?
Mm-mm. No, it's the same MO as every year. They win a few games that they're not supposed to win. And I felt like that was one against Kentucky.
This ain't going to be one of them, right?
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah, LSU by about 14.
LSU's pissed.
Yep, that's what I'd like to see too. I think LSU's going to score a lot more points than them. I think it might be high scoring, be an interesting game though. But LSU by 14 sounds good to me.
I can never pick LSU, so I'm just going to skip on to the next because I'm not picking South Carolina. We talked about this game as well. Memphis travels to Tallahassee to take on their old coach and the Florida State Seminoles.
Memphis.
You like Memphis to win this outright?
Yep. Outright.
Memphis outright. I don't know what the spread is on that one. Let's see what the spread is on that bad boy.
6.5.
6.5.
Florida State spreading that ass, right? That ass cheek.
Everything tells me Memphis, so I'm going to pick Florida State to win a fairly close game.
Fairly close game. Hell yeah. So I'm going to pick Florida State to lose because I just want to pick against them. Just something tells me that they're not destined to do nothing. So I'm going to give Memphis because I believe Florida State sucks donkey balls.
I'll be rooting for
As
Memphis. I'm just picking Florida State.
And I'll never pick Florida
As
State.
much as I hate Florida State, I'm not gonna be able to pick against them at home here. I think Florida State wins a close game. I think that it looks like Florida State's going to lose the game for most of the game, and they pull it out somehow in the end. Because they're at home.
That was the hardest game last year, Florida State against Georgia. I just wanted them both to lose.
All right, so it makes sense that we ended up at this game on the last fucking game. The SEC Network 11:45 kick. So you know that it's a big game. All big games kick off at 11:45 a.m., right?
Always.
All right, so the number 24 Boston College Golden Eagles. Am I right on that? Are they the Golden Eagles? Or
Oh, yeah. The Golden Eagles.
Are headed to play the number 6 Missouri Tigers. Number 6 just don't look right beside their name.
Doesn't.
I can't process it. So
They were very good last year.
yeah, I mean they were in the Ohio State game for sure.
No, they were good throughout the year. They had a chance to beat LSU and sort of blew it at the end.
Yeah, they threw the game away with 2 interceptions and 2 consecutive possessions, and they had the game won. So, yeah, we watched the same game there, Ed. But, hey, there's a lot of people hating on Missouri online, and I'd like to see something shake up the status quo. I mean, Missouri, they did recruit the number 1 defensive player in the country, and what I've seen them, I saw a little bit of their first game and some highlights since then they was breaking down film the SEC Network, and they got a pretty impressive offense. Really, I'd say Missouri 41-30 over Boston College.
I'm going Missouri by 7. I think Boston College will keep it close.
Yeah, I like Missouri by about 7, also lower scoring than what Robert said, like 27-20, something like that.
Okay, so I really want to do this one up. I wish I had some music to kick in for my upset pick of the fucking week, but I just can't do it. Missouri's at home. Boston College, they beat Florida State, so what? It looks like everybody's going to beat Florida State. Except for Memphis, of course. I got to go with Missouri close. Field goal, maybe a 1-point game. Missouri figures out how to win at home.
Missouri.
I definitely don't think that Missouri's a top 10 team, though. And
No,
I think
right.
if they were playing a better team, we would find that out this week. But
I mean, losing Cody Schrader's a big loss. That guy was a stud last year.
Oh, yeah. They sent a lot of guys to the pros. I mean, their quarterback, he's gone. He was there for years, but the guy they got now is pretty good. I mean, they're putting up lots of yards. They look pretty solid. I don't know. I think Missouri's – I'm with you, Doug. I don't believe they're top 10, but the way their schedule works out, they might seem like they're top 10. They might be able to hang around the top 10 because their schedule's pretty favorable. So they don't
Ed,
Yep.
Ed, why don't you go to bed? Why don't you go to bed so we can end the show?
Why is it up to me?
Because you're tired. I heard you yawn a second ago. Don't tell me you didn't.
I am tired.
Okay, goddamn it. I'm going to bed so we can end the show.
Okay.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right,
All
Sean.
right.
Sean, we'll see you next week.
Smacking off the podcast. Fuck your city, dog balls. Because sports authorities.
Thank you for supporting Smacking Off the Podcast. Make sure to stream in every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for an all-new live cast.